And we are back. Welcome to episode number 6 of Noel's podcast. I'm the host, Noel Tesfa. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in. Wishing you guys a very happy Friday or whatever day you're listening to this. Hopefully you guys had a nice, calm week. For myself, didn't do too much. Obviously, watched a lot of basketball, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But other than that, didn't do a lot. I watched the Michael Jackson movie earlier in the week. And I'll give you guys like a mini review, even though you probably don't care, but this is my podcast, so I'm going to do it. Saw the Michael Jackson movie, and I thought it was really good. And it definitely wasn't as bad as a lot of people that I heard made it out to be. I thought the acting was really well done. Jafar Jackson, who is Michael Jackson's actual nephew, played the older version of Michael in the movie. I thought he did a really good job, especially in the scenes with like Joe Jackson, his dad. I thought those scenes were really well done, and the acting for that. It's hard to imitate the greatest artists of all time, debatably, when it comes to the artistry. So, the singing and the dancing scenes, I wasn't blown away. Obviously, it's Michael Jackson's music, so you're going to have a good time regardless. But those scenes, it's going to be tough for anyone other than probably Chris Brown to do. So, but overall, I think he did a great job. Coleman Domingo, Academy Award nominated actor. He played Joe Jackson in the movie. I thought he did a great job because by the end of that movie, I'm like, yo, this guy's a real piece of shit. And I already knew Joe Jackson was not the greatest person, but I think the way Coleman Domingo portrayed him in that movie, wow, disgusting human being. But Nia Long, who played Michael Jackson's mom, I'll never have anything bad to say about Nia Long, all right? Nia Long, if you ever see this, just know I'll treat you way better than old boy from Houston. You know what I'm talking about. That's one thing we can bond over, our hate for Ime Udoka. But let me not. This is not. All right. But yeah, I thought the movie was pretty good. The standard for biopics, however you call it, for me is always going to be Malcolm X, the Spike Lee movie starring Denzel Washington as Malcolm X. That's always going to be the standard for me when it comes to biopics. But I'm a fan of Antoine Fuqua, who directed this Michael Jackson movie. He directed Training Day with Denzel, one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's good. It just, obviously, it's not going to live up to the standard of Malcolm X, or it's a Michael Jackson movie. So high expectations. But I thought it did really well. I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, that's my movie review for today. And on that note, on the topic of Michael Jackson, the song of the week for this week is Rock With You by Michael Jackson. This is off his debut solo album, Off the Wall. I know what Thriller is, the greatest album of all time, highest selling album of all time. I understand. All I'll say is that Off the Wall can go band for band with Thriller, in my opinion. Not trying to be no hot take artist. That's just listening to both those albums, especially recently, wasn't around for them. Came out in the 70s and the 80s. But Off the Wall, great album. So that's the song of the week, Rock With You by the GOAT Michael Jackson. Now let's get into today's episode. The second round of the playoffs are underway. What is it? 3 out of the 4 series is 2-0. Only one series is tied 1-1. So it's not looking like the most competitive second round so far. Hopefully, we'll get more competitive as we go further on into each series. We'll see. So we're going to talk about all 4 of those matchups. And then I have a few big picture things that I want to discuss. I got a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander rant that I really need to get off my chest. Got to talk about James Harden and how bad of a playoff performer this guy is. It pains me to say because I'm a fan of James, but got to talk James Harden, Joel Embiid injured again. Just devastating news. So we're going to talk all that, get you guys up to speed. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the episode. If you do, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on all platforms, share, follow on social media. You know the drill. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first series we have to talk about is OKC versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Game 2 was last night. Thunder win 125-107. They take a 2-0 series lead. But before I get into the game and to the series overall, I have to get this off my chest. The discourse around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, especially as of late, has really pissed me off. And I'm not even joking. The things that I've been seeing on podcasts and TV shows and social media, all about, oh, this guy's just a foul baiter. All he's doing when he gets into the lane is looking for the fouls. He's trying to trick the ref. He's not as great as you guys think he is. Da 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 da. Bro, all SGA has done for the past 2-3 years is win and win and win some more and score a bunch of points and be a great leader for his team, not get into any type of trouble, any type of controversy. He has just been a consummate professional. Not to mention, he's averaged 30 points for the last 4 years in a row. 4 straight seasons of 30 points. Only like 4 other guys in NBA history have done that. This past regular season, 30 points, 30 plus points on 55% shooting from the field. Only guard in NBA history to do that. Not Michael Jordan, not Kobe Bryant, not Steph Curry. None of these guys have ever done that. Last year, capped off one of the greatest seasons for a guard in NBA history. MVP, scoring champion, finals MVP, NBA champion, 2K cover. Like, did everything last year, stamped himself. And this is one of the greatest, not just guards, players we have ever seen. And yet, the conversation around him is, oh, this guy is just a free throw merchant. He flails his arms when he drives to the basket. He's not looking to score. He's looking for the contact. Let me give you guys a news flash. Every great player, 99% of great players are trying to get to the free throw line, especially if you're a great scorer. Whether you're James Harden or Kevin Durant, even LeBron. LeBron is like, I'm not even going to get into the LeBron flopping. But LeBron, any great player, even Anthony Edwards, like, you think of some of these guys as like just trying to punch it on you every possession, but they do the sweep through, rip through move where they're getting fouled. The point is, every great player is looking to get to the free throw line, but it's so overblown with Shai that it blows my mind. First of all, this is a player who does most of his damage in the mid-range. He gets to the rim, but most of his damage comes in the mid-range game. How are you going to foul bait as a mid-range shooter? Make that make sense to me. All right? So he's getting his stuff in the mid-range, maybe like 1, max 2 times in a game. You'll see him do like try to draw a foul on a drive to the rim. max 1 or 2 times, and every great player does it. So it's pissing me off that that's what the conversation is around this guy and not what it should be, which is this is one of the greatest guards of this century. I already think he is a top 3 guard of this century, only behind Steph and Kobe. And if he wins this championship this year, probably going to win another MVP, stamped as a top 3 guard in the century. I don't want to hear nobody else's name, not Harden, not Westbrook, not Jason Kidd, not Steve Nash, nobody. It's Steph, it's Kobe, Steph, Shea. That's it. And that's what the conversation needs to be about, and about this man's greatness, not about some free throw merchant flopping allegations. I don't want, I don't know. It's bothering me. Just because you might not like his play style. He might not be the most entertaining. I find him highly, highly entertaining as a basketball player, but that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Shea, keep doing what you're doing. Go win the chip this year. Bring it home. Now let me get into this series. Like I said last night, OKC won 125-107. Take a 2-0 series lead. And the main takeaway I have from this specific game, and actually this series in general, is the Oklahoma City Thunder are a first-class organization, and this series is a prime example of that. Shea has not been great in the first 2 games. I'll give it to the Lakers. They've been double teaming him. Game 1, he had a lot of turnovers. Game 2, he was in foul trouble. So Shea hasn't been great. OKC is missing their second or third best player, depending on how you feel about Chet, in Jalen Williams. He hasn't played this series because of a hamstring injury. And regardless, AJ Mitchell, the 38th pick in the draft, comes in last night, drops 20 points. 20 points, 6 assists on 7 of 12 shooting from the field. Just a steady force, especially in that first half when Shea was in foul trouble. He just got to his spots and scored at will. Then you have Jared McCain, who the Thunder, all they had to do was trade a few picks. I think it was 1 first round and 3 second round picks to Philly to get Jared McCain, who is someone that could have won Rookie of the Year last year if he didn't get injured. Front runner to win Rookie of the Year before the injury. Somehow OKC steals him. Daryl Morey, you are very lucky that your team came back from 3-1 against the Celtics, or else your ass would have been out of here. And that trade would have been a big part of that reason. But nonetheless, OKC gets Jared McCain in the midseason trade this year. And what does he do? He comes off the bench in last night's game. 18 points, 4 of 5 from 3. And he and Mitchell and Jalen Williams, who is another, I think Jalen Williams, J. Will, the other Jalen Williams, those 3 were the biggest reasons why OKC won last night. It was that third quarter run when Shea was on the bench because of foul trouble. And they could not miss. McCain couldn't miss. Mitchell was getting into the lane, finding people. J. Will knocking down threes. Even Chet had a great game, like under the radar game. 22 points, 9 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Just all around great game for Chet. So you can see the Thunder organization and how they built this team should be the blueprint for all 29 other teams in the NBA. The Lakers series is a complete mismatch, though. Like, I'm sorry, as great as LeBron is, he wasn't the greatest in this game. I thought in the third quarter, when Shea was on the bench and OKC was making the run that they made, the Lakers had a 6-point lead at one point in that third quarter. And I thought LeBron was going to take over and make sure the Lakers had full control of that game. Didn't do that. Missed some threes, missed some, good shots at the rim. And it wasn't the greatest LeBron game. Finished with, cool 23 points. Stat line wasn't bad, but if you watched it, Austin Reeves was the only one that really had a above average game for the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton, just get him out of here. Oh my God. This is what happens when he plays a competent team. Sorry, Laker fans. But yeah, OKC is just a complete mismatch for the Lakers. It's looking like it's going to be a sweep. I don't know if Luka is probably not coming back in this series, but Shea hasn't played well in the first 2 games, and the Thunder have still won by 18 points in both games. So this series should be over quick. Laker fans, you guys thought you had it after you beat the Rockets. I told you what was going to happen. But congrats to you guys on making it this far. Great job. I will say this, though, about the Lakers. One thing they have going for them is they are making it tough on Shea. They're doing the same thing that they did to KD in the series against Houston in that one game that he played, is that they're double teaming him as soon as he crosses half court with the ball. But unlike those, let me be nice, unlike the Rockets, OKC knows how to handle double teams. Shea gets it out quick, and they're playing 4-on-3 basketball, and they're getting good looks. So all the people that are like, oh, wow, Shea hasn't been that good. Well, he's making the good play, the right play, where instead of forcing shots against the double team, he's getting it out quick, and he's letting his teammates eat. And that's why the Lakers are down 2-0 in this series. But I like how JJ's getting them to play. Still think JJ Redick is a really great coach, but this series is over, so I don't even know why I'm still talking about it. The next series and game that we have to talk about, Cleveland, Detroit. Last night, Detroit takes a 2-0 lead against the Cavaliers. The final score for that one, 107-97. And I'm going to give Detroit and Cade Cunningham their props. But before I do that, James Harden is one of the greatest basketball players we have ever seen. From that peak from 2017 to 2019, where he was averaging like 30, 34 points, 35 points, and went on a tear, 50 points, 60-point triple doubles, all that. It will never be forgotten. But my, oh my, this is one of the worst playoff performers we have ever seen in the history of sports, not just basketball. For as great as James Harden is, when those playoff lights turn on, he becomes, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't want to call him a bum, but it's bad. And let me just give you what happened last night. He finished with 10 points on 3 of 13 shooting from the field. 0 for 4 from 3. He's shooting 9% from 3 in this series. 9%. And then 4 turnovers. It is the 46th time in his playoff career where he's had just as much or more turnovers than field goals made. He had 4 turnovers. He only made 3 field goals in this game. 46th time in his playoff career. Like, this is like an all-time choker. And I don't even care about the stats. Actually, I do care about the stats. But beyond the stats, if you watch the game, this is one of the best ball handlers, point guards we've had in the last 15 years. And he was having the most trouble just getting the ball up the court, whether it was Cade Cunningham guarding him or Ron Holland off the bench or Asar Thompson. Asar Thompson makes it hard for anyone to bring the ball up the court, but all 3 of those guys, Harden was having so much difficulty just dribbling the ball up the court. Second last possession for the Cavs in the game, he just dribbles it for 15 seconds and then turns the ball over. And it's at this point, it's sad. It's sad. If you are a Cavs fan, a few of my homies, they went to Game 7, Cleveland versus Toronto in Cleveland, and they were telling me that the general sentiment amongst Cavs fans is that they hate the Harden trade. They gave away Darius Garland, who was 10 years younger, and they got back Harden, who was an awful playoff performer, in basically a win now move, and now they're down 2-0 in the second round to the Detroit Pistons. So it's tough. It's tough for Cleveland. James, I mean, I rooted for James in Oklahoma City the few years that he was there. And then he went to Brooklyn earlier on in this decade, played with KD, quit on that team. I'll never forgive him for that. But I've rooted for James Harden, and it's just the same script every year in the playoffs. He does this every single year. And you hate to see it, but it's the reality. The only bright spot for Cleveland in this game was that Donovan Mitchell played well, especially in that third quarter. He was going off, and he needed a game like this because he hasn't been that great in the playoffs, but he played well, not good enough, obviously. Evan Mobley had 1 rebound. This is a max player, top 3 pick, supposed to be. He got Kevin Garnett comparisons coming out of college, and he got 1 rebound. His first and only rebound came in the third quarter of this game. He played 35 minutes, 1 rebound. That's, I'm not even going to say unacceptable. That's like unheard of for a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", long. 1? You couldn't even get 2? 1 rebound? Come on, bro. Come on. It's looking really bad for Cleveland. I said it after the last series, even though they beat Toronto, they were the team that I was least impressed with out of all the teams left in the playoffs, and they're proving me right. So we'll see what happens. They go back to Cleveland, play tomorrow night, but I think this series is over. Detroit got it. And speaking of Detroit, Cade Cunningham, another masterclass in the fourth quarter. When the game got close, he turned it up. 12 points in that 12 out of his 25 points came in that fourth quarter. Sorry. In that fourth quarter, he went crazy. Threes, mid-range, getting to the free throw line. So Cade was great in that game, and he's showing that he is the best guard, at least in this series, between him and Donovan Mitchell. I talked about that in an earlier episode. But yeah, Cade has shown up and showed out. Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris has been amazing these whole playoffs for Detroit. He has been that consistent number 2 scorer for them, scoring 20 points in, I think, like the last 6 games that the Pistons have played. And it's timely baskets too in the fourth quarter when it got close, and they were shutting off Cade and not letting him catch the ball. They gave the ball to Tobias Harris in the post, whether it was Donovan Mitchell guarding him or Max Strus, whoever it was. Tobias got the ball in the post, and to his credit, he went to work, got a few key baskets for them, and helped Detroit get the victory. He finished with 21 in the game. So yeah, I mean, the Pistons look great. Their defense has upped the ante, especially from the last series against Orlando. They just look like they had a bad first week of the playoffs. But now they look like the team that I picked to go to the finals. We'll see if that continues, but it's been great. And I want to say this. There was a key sequence in the game last night. Cleveland was making a run. They cut it down to 3 points, right? And they foul Asar Thompson. Maybe 8 minutes left in the game. They foul Asar Thompson, not the greatest free throw shooter. He misses the first one, and then a timeout is called, right? So he misses the first one, timeout's called, comes back, and on the TV broadcast, they showed JB Bickerstaff was on them, was on the Pistons, talking about you guys need to rebound, can't let Donovan Mitchell and all these guys out rebound you, talking to Jalen Duren, everyone. So they come out of that timeout. Asar Thompson misses the second free throw, but Isaiah Stewart offensive rebound eventually leads to a Duncan Robinson 3, and the lead goes from 3-6 off of 2 missed free throws. And that was just a very key sequence in the game. I thought it was very fitting that JB Bickerstaff was telling his team to rebound, and that very same possession, Isaiah Stewart gets a key offensive rebound, and it leads to a Duncan Robinson 3. So that was the key sequence for this game. Detroit hangs on. Cade was amazing. Tobias Harris was great. And now they're up 2-0 going back to Cleveland for game 3 and 4. And we'll see what happens with that. Now let's get into the next series. New York versus Philadelphia. Knicks take the series lead 2-0 after winning game 2, 108-102 in Madison Square Garden. Game 1 was a blowout. We're not even going to talk about that. Knicks won by like damn near 40 points. By the way, the New York Knicks, first team in NBA playoff history to win 3 games in a row by 25 plus points. I thought that was a really insane stat considering some of the mismatches that we've had in playoff history. Michael Jordan's Bulls, Steph KD Warriors, Kobe Shaq Lakers, none of them have ever done that. The 2025-2026 New York Knicks, first team to do that. Impressive. So I'll give it to them. But yeah, Knicks take the series lead 2-0. Game 1 blowout, just move that to the side. Game 2. News breaks. Joel Embiid is going to miss the game because of hip and ankle issues. When I read that, I'm just like, bro, like, I just talked about Embiid and how great of a moment this is for his career, winning Game 7 in Boston, coming back from the appendix surgery. And then this, it's just always something with him. Now, this is a day-to-day injury, so he might play in Game 3. I don't know. But just the fact that he's missing more games because of not his knee, not his appendix, but his hip and his ankle. It's just always something new with Joel Embiid. I feel really bad for the guy. I've said it. One of the most talented basketball players I've ever seen, and yet just ravaged by injuries in his career. So we'll see if he plays Game 3, but no Joel Embiid in Game 2. And Philly still came out hot. Paul George in the first quarter, just setting the tone for the 76ers. He had, I think, 10 points in that first quarter, hitting threes, getting to the rim, dishing out some assists. So Paul George was great in the first quarter. Tyrese Maxey was amazing in the second quarter. He had like some crazy number, like 15 points in the second quarter. They could not stop him. They could not stay in front of him. His speed was too much, as I predicted was that it was going to be in this series, right? And the Knicks kept it close. They were down for most of the first half, but they kept it close. Jalen Brunson was good. OG Anunoby was hitting shots. But in that second half, the backup bigs for Philadelphia, because Embiid was out, Andre Drummond, Adem Bona, those guys got into foul trouble from the beginning of the game. And it obviously hurt the Sixers because in that third quarter, Karl Anthony Towns went to work, threes and ones. He had like 10 points in that third quarter. And that's where New York kind of went on a little run. And then when you add that to the fact that Maxey and George were getting fatigued and tired, they played big minutes. Maxey played 47 out of 48 minutes in this game. George played 43 minutes. And Remember, they're coming off a game 7. When was it? Sunday or Saturday? Still, they're coming off a game 7, and now they're playing two road games every other day. So obviously these guys are going to get tired. And it showed, especially in that fourth quarter. Maxey couldn't really get his shots to fall. Everything was short, front rim. Same thing for Paul George. So they just ran out of gas, honestly. For Philly, they played a good 3 quarters, but they ran out of gas. And then in that fourth quarter, on the other side, Jalen Brunson did his thing, getting to his spots in the mid-range. And then when they double team him, finding his teammates, hitting free throws, clutch free throws. And Jalen Brunson has been the best player in this series, easily. First game, 35 points in the blowout win. They just can't stop him. There's no Kelly Oubre and Paul George are not quick enough to guard Jalen Brunson. Maxey and Edgecombe are just not good enough defenders, especially Maxey, to stay in front of Brunson. And he has just been the best player in this series, getting to his spots when he wants, getting to the free throw line, averaging 30. So Cade's been the best player been the best guard in his series. Brunson's been the best guard in his series. So we'll see if they clash in the conference finals. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for Philly to come out of this series down 2-0. We'll see what the status is for Joel Embiid, OG Anunoby for the Knicks, who's been, I would say OG has been the Knicks' second best player in these playoffs, averaging over 20, shooting like a ridiculous percentage. I think he's shooting like 60% from the field, over 50% from 3. He's on a real hot streak, and I give a lot of credit to Anne Hathaway, but if you know, you know. But he's been great. However, at the end of the game, he did go out with a hamstring injury. He's listed as day-to-day, but we'll see. Questionable for game 3. If OG somehow is not able to play for a few games in this series, I won't say it cancels out the Embiid injury, but it's a big blow for New York. Philly has to capitalize on that. And we'll see. But it's tough. I did pick Philly to win this series, and I did pick them to make it to the conference finals after they beat Boston. But tall task coming back from 2-0. The series is not over, though. Hopefully it becomes more competitive, but who knows? Joel Embiid, I feel for you, bro. Tough. Just unfortunate luck. Hopefully you get back in this series and you can help your Sixers squad to push it to a game 6, game 7. God willing. But that's what I have on Philly, New York. Even though it's 2-0, I think this could be a competitive series moving forward. We'll see what happens with the injuries. Now let's get into the only series that's tied 1-1, Minnesota, San Antonio. Now, game 1, Minnesota just ekes out a 2-point victory against the Spurs. Final score for game 1 was 104-102. Justin, is it Julian? Julian Champagnie? Yeah, I think it's Julian. Right? Anyways, Champagnie has a 3 to win the game at the buzzer, misses it. Minnesota wins game 1. San Antonio wins game 2 in a blowout. Game was over by halftime, honestly. But what I have to say about this series is that Anthony Edwards comes back from injury in game 1 from a hyperextended knee. I did not think he would be available for game 1. He comes back, but he's on a 25 minutes restriction. So plays 25 minutes in game 1. Doesn't look the greatest for majority of that game, honestly. I think he had 7 points going into the fourth quarter. But in that fourth quarter, he scores 11 points, goes on a little mini run, hits a 3 over Wembanyama, and it looks like old Anthony Edwards. So he was great in that fourth quarter. And you could tell Minnesota's physicality was really bothering Wembanyama, especially in that game one. He wasn't getting to his spots. He was missing a lot of threes. He was basically playing outside. He wasn't getting to the rim as much in that game one. He had like 2 dunks when he actually drove to the rim with conviction. But besides that, and he looked very, very tired. He looked tired, and it's like the 3rd most minutes he's ever played in his NBA career. It was like 40. At 40, like I just said, Tyrese Maxey played 47 minutes in the Philly New York game. So only played 40 minutes. So his body really has to adjust. Hopefully it does, to playing big time minutes, because that's what is needed in the playoffs. But the physicality was getting to him in game one. In game two, he played a lot stronger. It didn't bother him as much. He bullied Julius Randle on a few possessions. And look, the guy obviously needs to get stronger. I said it from the episode 1. His core strength, his base strength, like lower body strength, has to get stronger so guys can't push him off his spot. But game 2 was way better than game 1. That's why the Spurs blew out Minnesota. But if the Timberwolves are going to have any shot to beat the Spurs, Anthony Edwards first of all, he can't be on a 25 minutes restriction. And he has to look like Anthony Edwards. He has to be explosive. He has to be like getting to the rim, challenging Wemby. He has to hit threes and like just put pressure on the defense. Even in game 1, when he had that little run, that was like the only part of the game where he did that. He needs to do that for a full game, for a full 3 more games, in order for the Timberwolves to win, because the Spurs just have way too much talent. Champagny in game 2, even though he missed the game winner in game 1, in game 2 he went on like his own 12-0 run. De'Aaron Fox was way better in game 2 than he was in game. Everybody for the Spurs was better in game 2 than they were in game 1. And I mean, it was to be expected. Minnesota wins game 1 in San Antonio. The Spurs are obviously going to be the more desperate team in game 2. They don't want to lose both games at home, go to Minnesota down 0-2. That's almost a death sentence in the NBA. But the Spurs didn't let that happen. They blew them out. And we'll see what happens in Minnesota for games 3 and 4. But Anthony Edwards has to be at least 90% of himself for Minnesota to have a chance, especially with Ayo Dosunmu. He played in game 2, but went out with a heel injury. I don't know if he's going to be back for the rest of the playoffs because, calves, heels. There's a chance that he could have a really bad Achilles injury if he plays again. So a lot's going to be asked for Anthony Edwards. Gobert has to be just stifling defense on Wembanyama. Randall just has to play bully ball like he always does. Jaden McDaniels has to be Denver series Jaden McDaniels. Like a lot of things have to, if I'm going to be honest, a lot of things have to go right for Minnesota to win this series. I think they can, and it's possible, but it has to happen. San Antonio, on the other hand, they played a pretty bad game in game 1, and they still had a chance at the buzzer to win that game. So this could easily be a 2-0 series going back to Minnesota, but it's 1-1. It's the most competitive series we have so far, even with the blowout. But I don't know. I think it'll be too much for Minnesota. I think the Spurs probably get rid of them in 6. They split. I say they split in Minnesota. One team wins game 3, one team wins game 4. And then the Spurs win game 5 in San Antonio, and they close it out in game 6 at Minnesota. We'll see, but yeah, I just think the Spurs and Wemby are too good. They've been on a collision course with Oklahoma City this whole year, and that's what I'm expecting in the conference finals. But if Minnesota pulls it off, and if they're able to beat Denver, which they did, and then beat San Antonio, and then go to the conference finals and somehow beat Oklahoma City and win the championship, it'll be the greatest playoff run I've ever witnessed since I've started watching basketball, and arguably the greatest playoff run in history. Beating Denver and Joker, beating San Antonio and Wemby, beating OKC and Shea, and then beating the Knicks or the Pistons, whoever comes out of the East. That's arguably better than Dirk in 2011, because the three teams that they beat in the West are the three teams that everyone said were the three best teams in the whole league, not just in the conference. So to go through that gauntlet and then win the championship, that would be a sight to see. I'm not even a Timberwolves fan like that, but even I would be like amazed and would have to give them their flowers if that happens. But we'll see. It'll be a tall task. Again, Anthony Edwards has to be way, way better and look healthier in order for the Timberwolves to have a shot in this series. But like I said, all episode, we will see 1-1, Game 3 tonight, Minnesota, San Antonio. I got the Timberwolves winning game 3, and then I got the Spurs winning game 4. But yeah, that is today's episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Appreciate it. If you made it this far, make sure to keep showing your support, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Yeah, don't want to repeat myself. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Make sure to watch some NBA playoffs this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you guys next week. Love.